What is happening, people? It is Brian Alsruhe, NeverState.com, and today's gonna be another edition of Training Talks. I've actually tried to do a couple of these on my pressing days, and my press days have been very, very frustrating. And since they've been frustrating, I haven't been extremely nice on the Q&A. So none of those made the cut. But here we are trying it again. It should be pretty good. Currently on the bench press, that's probably the thing that I'm having the most problem with as far as the rehab is going. So the best I've gotten on the Swiss bar is, I think, 365 or 375. The best I've gotten on the floor press is 365 or 375 for two. So today I'm just gonna try the axle flat bench press, see what is there, what is not there, probably work up to a heavy triple, double, or single. But guys, the biggest problem about my shoulder right now is it's not really the shoulder. I'm not having that much problem there. I feel like I'm having some sort of nerve issue that is dealing with my tricep, and then secondly, my grip. So much so that I'm actually having trouble holding on to normal things. So this past Saturday, I was doing the Circus dumbbell, went up to 203 pounds, went to clean it, and on the Circus dumbbell, you clean it with both hands. My left hand actually flew off the dumbbell. And then I moved up to 217, went again, half expecting that to happen, and it kind of did. So as you can see in this dumbbell clean here, my hand is just slipping all over the place, flying, having a lot of problems with that grip of the left hand, and my left tricep is not firing correctly. So not really sure what's going on, but as you guys will see in a lot of this pressing, and I may even show up some examples of my old pressing from those other videos where I was mean, and you'll be able to see that my whole body is starting to contort and try to get more and more of my shoulder and absolutely anything that I can underneath the bar to help press it up because my tricep isn't working correctly. So we're gonna see how this goes today. I'm gonna be answering Q&A questions between, as always, guys, if you have a question for a future Train Talk, leave it in the comment section down below. But I'm gonna be getting through some stuff, and hopefully I will be nice this time. Let's go find out. All right, so first question comes from James McLendon, and you said that you're a powerlifter that just moved into a gym where there's a bunch of strongman equipment. You said that you're thinking about trying out some of the movements, and you want to know if there was an easy way to start incorporating the strongman movements into a program that will help out with your powerlifting. So a couple things here, man. Firstly, there is no strongman who isn't also a powerlifter, because we all need to do the big three movements. The big four movements, actually, because the overhead press. A lot of strongmen do not do the bench, but it is super, super important for all of us to be super strong on those main lifts. So there isn't necessarily, switching a conjugate for strongman or anything like that. You can definitely mix strongman into absolutely any program that you have. You just need to start smart about it because of all of the central nervous system demands. Because doing strongman, you have a deadlift or some way of loading the spine or some Romanian deadlift or some sort of big heavy thing every single day that you walk in the gym. So the demands are a little bit different, so you need to be smart about your recovery and how you lay it all out. But I will be completely honest with you here, man. The easiest way to start getting involved in strongman, if you have access to the implements, is to start just throwing in those implements as variations of your main lift. So if you're doing a bench press, do an axle bench press, or do a log overhead press instead of a barbell. That type of stuff will just start getting you to get a feel for some of the implements and some of the movements. And to be completely honest with you, man, nothing made a bigger difference in my lifting, breathing and bracing. That's number one. But number two was starting to play around with strongman implements, because once you get used to moving these big, heavy, cumbersome, unbalanced objects, when you go back to a normal lift with a gym with a barbell, it will feel like a toothpick, and you will just be able to throw that thing around. The balance is awesome. Technology is awesome. And the best way to build that up is by not having it for a little bit, which is exactly what strongman does, man. So I would definitely recommend giving it a try if you have the option. All right, so next question comes from Ritwick Seti, who says, people say that mixed grip while deadlifting isn't optimal as it causes imbalances. But you use mixed grip all the time. If hook grip isn't an option, what would you recommend? So, couple things here, just from the way that you word it. Number one, you're saying the hook grip isn't an option, so I'm guessing that means that you don't want to put up with the pain on your thumbs. Do not say that your thumbs are not long enough, because there are 75-pound girls who can hook grip a bar. So if you don't want to deal with pain, say you don't want to deal with pain, but most likely you can achieve a hook grip if you really wanted to, and that would be up to you. Now, The reason why I do mixed grip all the time is because I actually feel like I can get my lax patent tighter with a mixed grip than I can double overhand. Now that is not normal. Most people feel like they can get their lats tighter with the double overhand grip, but I cannot. And prior to my surgery, I would actually switch my hands every single set so that I did not get any imbalances. But man, to be completely honest, talking about imbalances with one hand flipped over on deadlift is almost like saying a baseball player is gonna get imbalanced because they always bat from the left-hand side. I'm not really sure that it works that much. I've never met anyone who had a serious problem with it. Most likely, if they did have a problem with that, it was another problem that this one just kind of compounded and they blamed it on it. Then after that, it comes down to whether you want to do competitions or not. If you do want to do competitions, then I would recommend building your grip, man. Like, you don't have a choice. Either you need to go hook grip or you need to be able to do the mixed grip and be strong enough to hold onto the bar. If you do not want to do competitions, I'd recommend doing straps and just be happy with having a not great grip and little tiny forearms. But yeah, man, it's complete personal preference. You should do whichever works best for you and fits your current situation. Since I do compete, I need a really, really strong grip. So I just choose to go mixed grip and go with that. I do not like hook grip. It is not comfortable for me. I do not like the pain. And especially with doing a lot of the other strongman movements, I try to keep my body, as far as that type of pain, like bone pain, like Zercher squats and hook grip and things like that, I try to stay away from as much as possible because my body goes through enough pain already. And a lot of times doing other events like a keg clean and press, if your thumb is sore from doing hook grip, there's no way you're doing that. So it's just part of the game. You know what I mean? You got to figure out what works best for you and then stick with it. All right, next question comes from MBS90, and you want to know what a year's worth of training is set up for me, whether it's a couple things of conjugate and so on and so forth. Well, ideally, if I didn't have any competitions, what an ideal training year would look like for me is I would start out at conjugate and I would try to drive up my base strength super, super hard. And then after that, I'd move on to something like power builder to give my body a little bit of break, to work a little bit of hypertrophy. After that, I would switch back to something similar to like the dark horse, which is more conjugate base, but a little more reppy. And then after that, I'd probably switch to a different rotating percentages program to, again, give my body a break. That would be an entire year. Each one would be a 12-week program, take up 3 months. That's exactly what I do. However, when you're a strongman, you don't really have that opportunity because unlike powerlifting, where each competition consists of 3 main lifts and you practice those 3 lifts all the time, every single strongman competition is different. So you'll have an event at a strongman competition that you never had, you've never seen, that you've never touched some of the things, and so you need to train up for it. So you have to take that last, 6-8 weeks and do a whole lot of event training just to prepare for that one competition. Now, that kind of messes up all of your other stuff because of the CNS demands, like I mentioned earlier, about what strongman does to your body. So you don't really get to care as much about your main lifts. So a lot of times those take a back seat if you're doing a lot of competing that year, which really does mess up a lot of things. So most people, I would say, compete 3 to 4 times a year doing serious competitions that they actually need to train up for. And so a lot of people will go literally 6 months without hitting a PR on the squat or 6 months without hitting a PR on the deadlift, but they'll be getting stronger, their lifts will be going up, but you don't really do it the same exact way. So I can't wait until I'm done competing so that I can just go back to lifting and just have fun with it. But yeah, that's exactly how a year would be for me if I had it ideally. But the way that it works out is I start a program, I work for a couple weeks, competition pops up, I start getting ready for that, I go back to that, I jump back to a different program. It kind of gets broken up, a little bit of training ADD, and doesn't make for the best results. I would definitely be a stronger person if I could just focus on one thing at a time. And that's slow. All right, next question comes from Keegan Sullivan, and you want to know how to maintain strength while you're cutting. So a couple things you can do here. One of the biggest mistakes that people do when they start cutting is they stop lifting heavy. You need to continue to lift heavy. And a lot of people say, well, I don't feel good. I don't feel like I have as much energy. I don't feel like I have as much strength or anything like that, which could potentially be true, but for the most part, that's inside their heads. studies show that physiologically, your body doesn't really start having adverse effects as far as your strength until about 2 weeks without any food at all. So I'm going to kind of call BS on if you didn't eat breakfast that you can no longer hit a deadlift PR. I think a lot of times that is more placebo and things that we build up in our head than is anything else. So you need to continue to lift heavy. I would also encourage you to start throwing that heavy lifting into giant sets. So antagonistic muscle group to your main mover, to some sort of core variation, to some sort of cardio conditioning variation for about 30 seconds. You're gonna keep your heart rate up. Something like burpees or a sprint or jump rope or anything like that, and then keep your rest intervals short to like 90 seconds to 2 minutes, something like that. A lot of times people, in order to drop body fat, do not need to do more, they just need to rest less. Rest less. Rest less. Rest less. Another thing that I would tell you to definitely avoid would be long, slow distance type of cardio. So going for a long leisurely jog or jumping on an elliptical for 40 minutes, don't do any of that. That is going to burn up muscle and be a waste of time. Do you want to look like a sprinter or do you want to look like a marathon runner? Because you're teaching your body exactly what you want to do and it will adjust to whatever you put on it. And if you're giving it a bunch of marathon-like activities, you're going to look more like a marathon runner. That said, it doesn't happen overnight, so you don't need to be that careful of it. It's just you'd be better off doing something with high intensity interval training or something along those lines. The only time that I would tell you to do long, slow distance cardio would be first thing in the morning, fasted, throw on a weight vest that is something like 50 pounds or 80 pounds. Throw a bunch of weights into a backpack if you do not have access to a weight vest. Get on a treadmill, max out the incline, do not hold on to the handles, and walk for 30 minutes. I did that every single day for about 4 years, did amazing things to keep my body fat down, to keep my strength up, and just overall just help my body incredibly with its recovery and honestly just hold up body fat. And then finally, we need to go over some dietary considerations because that's what cutting is. Cutting is less about what's going on in the gym and more about what you're putting in your mouth. So most people will try to cut out some carbs, which I completely agree with. I think going very low carb or just vegetables for carbs is a terrific way to drop a lot of body fat. The only problem is you need to up your healthy fats drastically or else your strength will drop off. I've done that diet. That's how I cut weight for competitions and fights and everything else. I always cut out the starch carbohydrates. I just switch to nothing but lean vegetables. And every single time, if I do not up my fats, my strength plummets. So if you keep your fat up, then your strength stays up. It is just better for everything and easier for your body to drop that fat anyway. So those are a bunch of things to work on, man. But definitely it is easy to hold on to strength and size while cutting weight if you do it correctly. The problem is it's hard. And that hard work is something that most people are not willing to do. And that sacrifice is something that most people are not willing to do. But if you are willing to, you can definitely get it done.
Go, go, go! Finish it! Finish it!
All right, guys, last question, because I think I might have one more rep in me. I don't know. This might not be the last question. All right, guys, next question comes from Colin Stobeck, and he has two questions. He said, when you go to Canada, are you going to do Omar and Mike's podcast? Yes, most definitely. And you may or may not see me with them before I'm in Canada. Maybe. And the second part of your question was, as an experienced and seasoned lifter, how do you continue making progress when people think it's harder, if not impossible, to make gains after such a long time? The number one thing that I will tell you is that I am not a smart man. And not being smart sometimes pays off a lot because you stop believing what other people tell you is and is not possible and what you should and should not be able to do. There's a lot of people who hold themselves back by sticking glass ceilings over top of some preconceived notions because somebody at some time failed at it, and it's easier to say, no, that's not possible for anybody than it is to say, you know what, why can't it be me? And that, my friend, is the number one reason why I am able to continue making gains even this late into the game. Now, I will say a lot of it has to do with me switching over to Strongman 4 years ago, and that gave my body an entirely new stimulus to play with. So now, instead of having one deadlift or two deadlifts, like a stiff-legged deadlift, sumo deadlift, a regular deadlift, for PRs, now I literally had like 20 variations of deadlift to work on, and each one of those hit a different spot on my posterior chain, making it stronger so all of my lifts continue to go up. So part of it, I would say, is Strongman, but a lot of it is just refusing to believe that a 38-year-old man cannot continue to make progress. The one common theme between everyone who's ever accomplished anything is that they did not go into it looking at it saying, man, you know, I'm gonna try to do really well, but I kind of know then I'm only gonna make it to this height. That's as high as I'm possibly gonna make it, because that's where everyone else has made it, or that's where everyone told me that I could make it. Not one person who ever achieved something great believed that, or gave anybody in their life who said anything like that to them 1 second, man. You gotta push those people outside of your life. You need to have a belief in yourself and in what you're doing that no one else can see, that only you know what is possible and what is not. And trust me, you decide what your reality is. You do not let anyone else decide for you what is and is not possible, because the second you start doing that, you are never gonna achieve anything. So throw all those ideas out the window. Stop thinking about what is and is not attainable for you, your size, your height, your genetics, your whatever the case may be, and just go out and give it everything you have. You may not be the best in the world, but you can be the best that you possibly can be, and that's all you should ever strive to be, no matter what it is. If you are a trash man, be the best trash man you can possibly be. If you are a doctor, be the best doctor you can possibly be. If you are weightlifting, be the best weightlifter you can be. That's all you can ask out of life, and that's all you can truly do. And trust me, if you continue to do that, continue and never-ending progress, you'll be making progress and gains a lot longer than you truly think you would. All right, guys, last question, because class getting ready to start and I need to go. This one comes to us from Tom K, who said,
That's what he said.
Yeah, that's what he said. That's what it was. Well, Tom, you want to know, how does strongman training help with fight training? Okay, there is no better type of weight training that can be done for combat sports or law enforcement personnel, firefighters, first responders, stuff like that, than strongman. And the reason why is because it builds true functional strength. I know a lot of people say deadlifts build functional strength, but they really don't. They build more functional strength than like a leg extension. But how many times do you walk up on a balanced bar and have to deadlift it up? Strongman is all about literally looking at random stuff and saying, hey man, I bet you can't pick that up and carry it over there and put it over that bar. That's what strongman is. Said it so many times in the past, guys, but you can pick up a 300-pound stone, you can pick up a 300-pound absolutely anything in the world. That is never more applicable than when it comes to combat sports or grappling sports, because if you are involved in it, you will know that it is all about your posterior chain, your hips, your crush strength as far as like your bear hug crush strength, and then your grip strength. Those things are so massively important, and strongman does nothing but work those. Things like front carries, stone to shoulder, farmer's walks, yoke, all of it builds exactly what you need for fighting, for grappling, for any type of those type of sports, especially when you're dealing with inconsistent weights like another human being that is going to be moving around and not really wanting to get slammed on their head. So, man, I could not recommend strongman training enough. I actually write programs for 2 current UFC fighters, both their games have shot up because of the strongman training. So, man, I cannot recommend it enough. I would highly recommend you get involved in any possible way that you can, and any type of students or athletes or anyone that is involved in that, I would highly encourage them as well, because it will change your game. All right, guys, so there we go. There is another training talk in the book where I was actually fortunate enough to work up to that 405 bench press. It is such a relief to be in the 400s again. I did not know if I would ever see that. So small win there, which is something that I needed after that front squat day the other day. So really, really good things, guys. I am so excited. Tomorrow, Juju Mafu will actually be at the gym doing teaching me how to do a backflip, teaching Uncle Nick how to backflip, teach a couple other people how to backflip, but there will be a bunch of videos coming out with he and Tom, just such nice guys. They're coming out here to the country to come hang out with us, so I am excited about that tomorrow. T-shirts drop on Friday. You guys should have gotten a look at them in the front squat video, but they are absolutely amazing. Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, those will go live. Those and the Suffer Beautifully tank tops. So pretty excited about that, guys. It's a big week around here at Never Say Athletics. We're gonna hope that we can hold on and not throw up too much. I will catch up with you guys later in the week, but until I do, guys, go out and do something amazing in your lives. Keep working hard, be nice to each other. I'll see you guys then.